turn off some of these media sources. Can you everybody hear me? Well, what can we say about that? Another amazing finish, another week here with the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour on G-Force TV. We're trying to improve our graphics a little bit here on the side of the screen. Some Power Hour and G-Force TV changes. And of course, we've updated our bottom graphics with our 2023 drivers so far, at least. We've already had a good amount of competitors that have come in and been a part of the series. It is definitely going to be interesting to see what we've got for this year, because so far through 2 races, there has been, sure, some consistencies up at the front of the field, but that doesn't mean that it is going to be the same all season long. I mean, we've had some guys that have had some pretty bad luck to start this year. Not something we would expect right off the top would be the same competitors having the same kind of bad luck. So definitely lots of stuff to talk about, but we obviously have to talk about the finish first with Treyton Lapcevich and Marc-Antoine Cameron. Definitely something that was of note this week. There was a lot of people on social media, so much so that it got heated, as it always seems to get when it comes to the move, bump, and run. And there's a difference, obviously, between bumping and running and wrecking somebody to win. And there's a lot of opinions regarding as to whether or not it is the same type of racing that we've always seen, or if it's gotten worse. And as somebody that has grown up in, I only watched racing for about 20 years, so I can't really say what it was back in the 70s and 80s and really the early 90s. I only started watching in 2002. So only I kind of have seen from 2002 onward. But from what I have seen, this is a trend that has continued week in and week out. Now, do I think that the move that was made by Treyton Lapcevich was overly bad? Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. But for sure, there's definitely a lot of things to talk about over this past weekend. First off, crowd was amazing at CTMP. One of the best crowds I have ever seen. Jeremy Smith, GJ just doesn't seem to have any kind of long run speed. That finish was completely clean. I've seen a lot worse. And that's the kind of the comment that I've seen from a lot of people. However, what Jeremy is bringing up is there's something that's very similar, but also there's still something that gets a lot of people riled up, and that's contact towards the finish of a race. Look at a common example. You got to go to the Cup Series. You have to go to the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series. This seems to be a common occurrence with this type of racing. It's not something that you can really do with Indy cars. It could potentially get very, very dangerous to do something like that. So there's a lot of work in motorsports to be done, I guess, in terms of what you'd say if you're going to try and change how people are racing. I don't think that's going to happen. This is kind of what's taken place, and people realize you either race this way or you don't. The biggest thing that we obviously have to talk about was the weekend that it was. Last year, it was tough. If you're a fan at the racetrack, there was a tornado at CTMP, and it was dangerous. There were people that were injured. Lots of damage that was estimated. It is tough. It is really tough to see it. But this weekend was great because people were absolutely. You can add, Al Harris is in the chat, who is my father, but also our photographer for our podcast. And he had periods where he said he couldn't get through the crowd to get to the fence to take a picture. That there were so many people. We had Ron Morissette, who we ran into on the way out, and he said that in turn 2, it was almost like standing room only. You couldn't get a seat to sit down. This follows the trend at Sunset Speedway, where it is incredibly busy as well. And the biggest thing that I noticed was that a ton of people came just for the Pinty Series race. They came and they left, and that was it. Let's take a look here and see some of the comments here. I think the creators of that track designed that last part of the of the track to be for this reason. It is contentious. Yes. Do feelings get hurt? Yes. Is it fun to watch? Hell yes. Need more of it. Absolutely true. But there's a difference. Again, Jeremy, you talk about this. I'm going to bring up the NASCAR truck finishes. For the most part, they were clean, but then you go bring in Chase Elliott, one of the most popular, if not the most popular driver in all of NASCAR right now, and he completely dumped Ty Dillon in the last corner. There's a huge difference between what Treyton Lapcevich did and what he did. I think we'll see, I think it was Kevin Lacroix and Alex Taglioni did the same thing. Bump, but didn't wreck him. There's a difference. Jim Haynes says, usually down south, the bump and run ends with somebody crashed, which is the difference. Rick Ingram says, back in the day, the 20 should watch his mirrors. I am sure there maybe some pack. Just hope he realizes what you give, you get back. Rick, I would say so. But at the end of the day, I think Cameron has done that himself. And when Cameron comes out and says, I would have done the same thing, I think he realizes he would have done the same thing. If you go to Sunset, Cameron pushed the hell out of the 20 into turn 1. That was not going to end well. It almost didn't. It is definitely interesting. Turn 2 was packed from up to the fence, right up to the concession stand. That's what you want to see at a racetrack. Absolutely. Yeah, you can't drive. Jeremy Smith says, yeah, you can't drive right through a guy. Totally agree. But you're there to win. If you're going to follow the leader, you're going to follow the leader. Jeremy has a point here. He caught him. That's the thing. He caught him. You also have to remember, Treyton Lapcevich is not guaranteed a full season right now. He isn't. We don't know where the funding is. He has stated that they are still looking for sponsorship for the full season to be able to run. And he's won the first 2 races of the season. GM Paillet is solid behind Marc-Antoine Cameron, and that's not going away. So you have to look at those types of things as well. But again, he didn't push him straight into the tires. From the media center, we had some of the media folks who we talked to, and they said they didn't even know that if he made contact, it looked to them from turn 10 like Cameron had missed the corner, like he overdrove the corner. Now, obviously, we're not probably done here in terms of could there be more to this? Absolutely could be. And I don't think we would see it right away. If these two become the championship contenders, yeah, I think there's going to be some fun there. I think it could be as soon as this weekend. Chaudier is one of the tightest, or not this weekend, sorry. I keep thinking that we're going to have every single week in a row for Pinty's racing, which would be great. Chaudier is one of the tightest racetracks that we go to. And if there's going to be payback, it will come on a short track. I don't see Cameron doing that, though. Not this early in the season. I mean, we know Mark is and we know Mac is, I call him Mac Attack for a reason, because he is literally going to attack each and every race, and he puts forth one hell of a show. He really does. However, it's about being smart, and he knows, as he talked about in his post-race, he said no hard feelings. He would have done the same thing. Now, do I truly believe that there's no hard feelings? Well, post-race, obviously, the fingers are out, but in the heat of the moment, yeah, you do that, but I think he realized, he said in his interview that he was sliding, he saw him coming, and I think at the end of the day, Mark realizes that Treyton did have the better car towards the end of the race. Do I think that the 20 car is going to be the best every race? Probably not. I don't think he's got the great pace, and he realizes that. Treyton knows where his weaknesses are, whereas the 96 right now doesn't seem to have a weakness. They're good on both. So Mark definitely is the guy to watch. But we were lucky enough to bring on Treyton Lapcevich, Graydon Bunn, And Treyton joined us to talk with Regan McCauley. Darn allergies. And let's hear what he had to say about it, because Treyton, obviously, he's the best person to ask. Well, here on the Power Hour, and this is getting a little repetitive here, but Treyton Lapcevich, 2 weeks in a row here. I did tell you last week, maybe you could win one without a last lap corner pass. And I don't know, maybe it just wasn't going to be good enough for you to hold on and win one without that, but it'll come eventually. How about yesterday for you?
Yeah, I mean, really just a great day for our team. We didn't necessarily have everything go our way. It was actually, I think, an issue on pit road that ended up in our race ending the way it did. To be honest, we had an issue with our fuel stop, which kind of lost us a lot of track position on a second restart, I think it was there. So that kind of ended up in playing it within the decision to take our tires so early and get lucky with that early the next caution there. So everything from then on out kind of just went our way. Everything fell into place.
You had a amazing. I mean, I love this story first off because you talked about D'Souza coming on board, and in their very first start with you, you take them to victory lane. Were they there at the race yesterday?
Yeah, they were. It was great to have D'Souza railing on board. They were on the trunk at sunset. That was kind of a late thing just to get them on board and get them on the car there. But for CTMP being their first race as our primary sponsor and getting that partnership with them that way, they were able to experience victory lane right away. We had them right in victory lane and get to really bring it all in. So just great to see how excited they were about it, and awesome to have them on board.
You talked about overcoming some adversity, and that's kind of where teamwork comes into play. And teamwork involves at an official capacity. I mean, your dad never really ever went away from the sport, I don't think. But I mean, as your crew chief, and it kind of, your Uncle Jim was there too, and it's like a kind of a fast line flashback, if you will, and you're doing it with another racing family with the Steckleys. So just kind of talk about how that all goes together, and being a teammate with Kyle. Like, you guys are young guns, both talented and trying to really make a name in the series, in the Pinty series, that is.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a family thing. It's been great right away. My first year with 22 Racing, we really noticed how well it was all going to gel together. Like you said, being with another very notable racing family with the Steckleys and that, and then our family, just everyone's involved. Like you said, I had my dad was my crew chief, Uncle Jimmy was spotting in turn 5, Ryden was carrying tires, so Jay and my mom are watching the race on the RV and whatnot. So just it's really great to have the whole family involved. It's like nothing else, and I think that's the greatest thing about racing is the whole family aspect of it. And in a sense, I think we've become one with 22 Racing. We've definitely grown a good family there, and I think that's played into our success.
All right, Treyton. Yeah, I mean, again, pretty much like last time we talked too. I obviously want to know about what was going through your mind with the move, but I'm actually curious to know what was going through your mind in the lead up to that, because Gary Clute was leading the way. There was Cameron there as well, and you were there in third place. Cameron got by him, and then you eventually had to get by Gary Clute there. But take me through what you were thinking in that during those laps, because I'm sure you had to really have a lot of patience to eventually lead up to what we saw there. And again, like back-to-back weeks of you moving someone out of the way and again, not wrecking them.
Yeah, so when Cameron and I were second and third and Gary was in the lead, I kind of realized that I think I was a little bit better than both of them off of raw pace. So once they got racing, there was 3 of us in a line. I kind of just held back and tried to save some tires, cool them off a little bit, not push them any more than I needed to. And then when I saw Mark get by Gary, I knew it was definitely time to go. So I tried to make my move on Gary. I failed once. I tried to throw it in on turn 2, and it was kind of a late toss in there. But we lived. We raced side by side through turn 3, and then ultimately I had to give him the spot back in turn 4. But and then so we lost a lot of time there, really. But was able to get him back coming out of 10, and then from then on it was all out. I mean, it's different at a road course chasing someone down than it is at an oval, because if you make a mistake, it can really set you back a long ways, and you can even end up off track or whatnot. So it was definitely tough, not only trying to push myself as hard as I could go, but also understanding the limits of the car.
I'm very curious about this one because I have to look this up here, because I think it may have been 20 years since your dad won at CTMP and that you won, because I think he won in maybe 03.
Sounds
and
about
then
right.
you won in 2023. I mean, I knew you. 2004. Oh, off by 1 year. Oh well. We'll make it. We're close.
Might
We're
be the
close.
first stat I've ever heard that you got wrong.
To be fair, it could be Wikipedia's fault. It could be wrong.
That's
Figure
true.
No, it
Yeah.
may
Everything
have
on the
been
internet.
2003. Toronto is what I'm thinking of. That's what it could be. I don't know. Your dad won a lot on the road courses. He was pretty good at them. So, did you ever think that was going to be your? You would get a victory first off on a road course, because you were known more as an oval track racer. So to be up there and just run well right from the start must have been a great thrill for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just goes to show I got a lot of great mentors in my life, with my dad being one of them. Obviously, I didn't come from road course racing. My first road course was just in 2021 at GP3R there, in my first year with the Pinty series. So not a lot of road racing experience. In contrast, my dad grew up racing sports cars, doing all that stuff. He was more into the road courses at a point than he was into the ovals. So it's just great to have him on my side, and his experience at Mosport, Toronto, all these road courses that are local to us, is just, to have that knowledge helps a ton. And going back on if I ever thought I'd get that road course win, I can't say that I was too confident with that. I knew that CTMP would be my best shot to get my first one at. I feel like I definitely excel at CTMP in comparison to the street courses, which is definitely something that I'm planning to improve on, which really is my goal for this season. But I think one of the big things I said coming to this season initially was that my one goal was to win on a road course, and so I'm happy that we achieved that relatively early into the season, and we'll keep pushing forward.
I think you were able to beat your brother, actually, because I don't think Caden won on a road course, did he?
No, I think Caden's best finish was third or maybe second at CTMP too.
So he's got one on you, Caden.
So yeah, it's your intention is to run the entirety of the season. I mean, you're 2 for 2 right now. Now that you have, as you said, that you have that mindset that you can win on a road course, it's a given that you can win in a bull ring, like anywhere you turn left. Can you make a run at a championship?
I think so. The championship's definitely in our sights. We're really early into the season, only 2 races in, but we've been off to a really good start. So it's definitely a good confidence booster heading into the rest of the season. I think it's just the big thing is consistency wins championships, and just so if we're not winning every week, as long as we can keep finishing in the top 5, top 3, log these good finishes. Obviously, we're going to keep gunning for wins all that we can. That's obviously the goal. But as long as we can keep luck on our side, we had a lot of bad luck last year with the. I think we had 3 DNFs. So. No, I think as long as we keep logging these consistent finishes, running up front, championships definitely in our reach.
Now, adding on to what Graydon was saying there, this is definitely going to give you a lot of momentum heading through the rest of the year and going for a championship run, of course. I'm sure a lot of this too will help bring in a lot more partnerships as well and get more sponsors interested, and especially too with your marketing efforts that you've had, especially with your YouTube channel recently. I'm sure that's all going to come together. So again, just that momentum from the 2 for 2, and then just getting more and more interest, especially for everything that was happening before the season. There were obviously some difficulties, but now it seems to be kind of a different story there. So I'm sure there'll be a lot more opportunities and a lot more interest there, a lot more intriguing,
Yeah, hopefully. It's great that we were able to start the season off with bringing two brand new partners to Victory Lane. So it's really cool to have D'Souza Railing and Leading Edge Earthworks involved. And it's definitely hopefully something that we can continue.
I'm sure it must have been real nice being able to actually drink the champagne in Victory Lane. That's definitely got to be a nice feeling. And at the end of the day, yeah, of course, great. You got to celebrate that, right? At the end of the
Win in
day,
style.
It's got to be a great feeling to go 2 for 2. You were actually really good at Chaudier as well last year, and you had some issues with mechanical issues there. So obviously, that's a track that you can definitely win at. You were really good at Eastbound Park. So do you think you go 3 for 3 and 4 for 4? Because it's looking really possible.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think we definitely have the program going in the right direction right now. There's no doubt that our oval program was wicked at Sunset. So I think we come with something similar to Chaudier. They're relatively similar tracks. I only got about 50 laps on Chaudier last year, but a little more grip than Sunset. You can kind of utilize both lanes and even a third lane there, so a little different. But I think as long as we can survive, I think we're 300 laps at Chaudier this year, so it's definitely a long race. You got to be there at the end, so that's definitely gonna be the goal. And I think if we are there at the end, we might be able to end up on the top step again.
Well, for all of us here on the Power Hour and our extended panel for this episode, Treyton, we don't want to take. Apparently now also wants to, we don't want to take up more of your time because I know you're a busy guy, and we just want to obviously send our congratulations and best of luck as you head out to Chaudier and for the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, no problem. Thank you, buddy. Well, so the three of us are here. I know Graydon's he's got a little bit of time before he's got to go here. So Graydon, just your quick cliff notes on what you thought of the race before before Regan and I see. I've got Cat in my face, so it makes it a little more distracting. But a cliff notes version of the weekend for you.
Well, if you want to get a little bit deeper, go bigger picture. For two separate races and two completely different disciplines, in Sunset Speedway being a bullring oval and the road course at Mosport, they're very similar races in ways, having I get like the same players involved, you might say, coming to the end and having the same outcome with Treyton. And as he kind of alluded to and we alluded to, he's kind of shown, and now he's got it in his mind now that he can win anywhere he goes. And he had kind of a bit of a slump last year with the DNFs, like he mentioned. But I mean, that cohesiveness that the Steckleys and Lapceviches have, and my preseason early pick was a Resurgent 22 Racing. So I mean, I feel like that whole cohesive thing, and being teammates with Kyle and having the presence of a veteran and a guy like Alex Tagliani, they have a recipe for success. And as long as they've kind of worked those kinks out from last year, I know they had some battery issues and stuff too a few times. And if they can eliminate that stuff, they're 100% contenders already. I mean, he's already shown he's hard to beat. So that's so to bring it all around, Saturday was soggy as all get out. But Sunday paid us back huge. I mean, for the race we saw, we were treated to something. And for what we can see basically 8, 9, and 10, and where they sort of dive it off into one. So that's what we see. And then same with everybody else there. They see their respective parts. But man, what a hell of a race. It was good to see everybody mixing it up, racing throughout the entire field. Solid car count. The great racing that we know the Pinty Series to be. We know there was people were mad probably after the race. We always like it when there's some hurt feelings. I don't know if everybody will carry over to next time at the racetrack, but a lot of those guys never forget. And if they excuse me, it was just all around great job by CTMP again, as as annual repeat customers for that event. The facility is top notch. The staff, volunteers, ownership group, everything. It's just first class. Everything's clean. Everything's well kept, and just a great camping experience. And they really look after you there. So get on out to Mosport, because there's plenty more events. CTMP, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. I call it Mosport. It's like burned into my head. But yeah, anyways, great weekend. Great time with you, Bud, and all our friends, everybody in the paddock. Just great experience.
Well, we know Graydon's got a lot of stuff he's got to work on right now, including the very important job of grilling pork chops. So we're going to make sure that he gets to that right now. But thank you so much. Thank you so much, Graydon, for tuning into the show. Now it's going to be a race breakdown with myself and Regan McCauley. But let's take a quick look at the finish of the race and see what all the buzz was.
They'll go under the Canadian Tire Bridge into turn number 8. I believe the winning move is in turn 9 or turn 10. Lapcevich right behind Cameron as they work into turn number 9. Right on his back bumper. He looks to the inside. Contact through turn 10. Cameron off the racetrack. Treyton Lapcevich executes the bump and run to perfection at CTMP. Cameron comes home second. Luke comes home third. Holy moly, what a race.
Here we go. Well, that finish. Okay, Regan, the question is, was it a dirty move? This is common, that what we're getting from a lot of people. And I had to shut the comments and stuff down on the page because people were getting a little too riled up. And that is what happens. It is racing, but there's a big difference here. And I will say the biggest difference is that Marc-Antoine Cameron comes out and says, I would have done the exact same thing, and he leaves it at that. If he says it's the exact same thing and he's cool about it, then that's it. It's done. It's over with. My biggest thing is people thinking that they have to take the business for themselves and try and make people feel like their driver was a horrible person. We've seen this before time and time again. Listen, it happens in racing nowadays. If you don't like the way that it's being raced, unfortunately, that is not a product of just the Pinty series. That is a product of racing in general. When you see it in the Cup series, you see it in the Xfinities, in the Truck series, in ARCA. It was done on the short tracks too. However, it was something that people got to see, people got to watch and witness, and they started doing it as well. It was done on the short tracks too. However, no, I think he just got to him and pushed him wide. That's what happened. If you were at Sunset Speedway, you could see that Marc-Antoine Cameron had a lot of speed on that final restart, and he shoved the hell out of Treyton Lapcevich into turn 1. The exact same move with a different result. In that case, Mark didn't win. Turn 1, the exact same move. But we saw last year that if you bump somebody the wrong way, in that case, or if you try to block the wrong way, or however way you see it, it can result in a wrecked car. The difference was here, Mark still finished second. He's still 2 seconds in a row. He's got or at least he finished, I think, third or fourth last week. But it worked worse for Mark last week. It worked better for Treyton this week.
Yeah.
Is this a dirty move in your opinion?
No.
Why?
No. Because it's like you've said, it's become a part of racing. And again, too, a young guy like Treyton Lapcevich, who just won at Sunset, and for all the difficulties, like I even mentioned earlier in the interview with him, with partnerships and all that, and there was a little bit of like there was no promise of a full season.
And we still don't really know.
Yeah, we still don't really know.
We don't really know.
But now he's 2 for 2, and that's gonna help get people
Yes.
intrigued. That will help get
Absolutely.
businesses involved. But again, I'm saying it's a young guy who just won.
Mhm.
He has a perfect opportunity to go for 2 for 2 at a track in a corner where we've seen history of this.
Yes.
So why wouldn't you add on to that? And I
Yep.
saw someone on Twitter too say that was about the cleanest last lap pass
Yep.
they had ever seen in White's corner.
Yeah.
And I agree with that.
It's absolutely true
agree.
because perfect example here, Regan. Who didn't do that? Chase Elliott. Most popular driver. What did he do to Ty Dillon?
He dumped his ass.
He dumped him. And that was no attempt at trying to pass, no attempt at trying to move. He dumped him. That's what happened there.
Yeah.
We see this time and time again. We see it with Noah Gragson and Todd Gillen. He tried to pass him. He didn't. He wrecked him. Right? We see it. We've seen it in the past with Andrew Ranger and Scott Steckley. It doesn't work when you dive bomb. So this might be the new way of doing it. You saw, what was it? John Hunter Nemechek and Cole Custer completely destroy each other coming to the line, like not even attempting to try and be clean. This was a clean attempt.
Yes, no, I agree with that. But of course, you're going to have those mixed opinions, especially if you're like a Cameron fan or you're part of the team. Like you're going to. That's what's going to get into you emotionally. It's just the way it is.
Exactly. You're more invested in that side of things because you have an emotional attachment to it. Not only that, is that you worked hard to win that race.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I have no doubt in my mind that the 96 is a championship favorite based off of what I've seen so far.
Now I will say though, it was clean, quote unquote, quote unquote.
Yes.
But I won't, it probably should be known now that like Cameron can't forget this though.
No.
Even though it was clean, it wasn't dirty, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like again, that was about the cleanest thing we've seen in that corner in a long time.
But I'd go Ryan Blaney and Herman Kuroga was probably the best finish.
Yeah.
Clean wise. Like not dumping, but actually trying to
like he didn't wreck him. No one wrecked. That's what matters. Cameron still finished second.
Yes.
But he's not going to forget that. He's not going to.
No.
He is not going to. And you saw by those hand gestures on that whole cool down lap, they were going at each other with those fingers. So, I mean, like, again, like clean, in my opinion, clean.
Yep.
But I would not be surprised if Cameron didn't forget about it. And I don't expect him to not forget.
Yes.
So
I look at this and go, there may have been some feelings from the past though, because if you look at the way that the two raced previously, I think that Treyton was very calm at Eastbound last year because Cameron roughed him up towards the end of the race there too. Mark that Paille team lives and breathes this series. It's not just a racing thing for them. It is Pinty's. It is Canadian racing. They're doing it to be the best in the series. And they're still by far the best. And I have to give a call to his crew chief, Robin McCluskey, because what a brilliant call to come on pit road before everybody else. Absolutely amazing. We saw Tag was up near the front. You saw LP Dumoulin was up near the front. Those strategies didn't work as well as the 96s did. Now, where the 96 had an amazing race, his teammate in the 27 for GM Paille, man, I don't know how much heartbreak I can take for Andrew. It wasn't a mechanical issue. There was, I believe there was a penalty that was involved. There was stuff that just, man, I don't know what it's going to take for him to get back on a road course and not have bad luck. Because it seems like since that separation from the Dodge team, the Mopar team, it just hasn't worked on the road courses. Even going back, actually, I'd even say when he was with the 51 with Rick Ware Racing, actually, it literally, you have to take him back to his Mopar car. Andrew, is he not the road course king anymore?
And again, too, with all the other drivers coming through, like Lapcevich now has proven. Lapcevich has now proven that. Kyle Steckley, again, we're going to see him on the road course, so we're going to see what he's capable of.
I'm very curious. I am very curious.
Yeah. And
because
then,
that should be fun.
Yeah. And then again, Alex Gannett, of all guys, now in the number 3. So he's bringing the number 3 back on top. You got guys like Dexter Stacy and JP Bergeron who are underdogs on the road courses.
Yeah.
Daniel Bois is another one.
Matthew Scannell.
Yes. Scannell was up in pace for like a podium, and then he gets spun.
Yeah. And I again, we couldn't. So that was where we were sitting, was in that corner 10. So
yeah.
we couldn't. I don't know if the broadcast really did. He lose it himself, or was he helped?
I got a video. I did manage to get some of a video on the broadcast. I was able to rewind back like about 10, 15 seconds or so. And I saw, I think it was hard to see, but there was contact with Dumoulin for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw like some car on the outside come down towards the car on the inside, coming into that final corner, and then someone got spun. I don't know which one was which, because all I saw was black on both cars.
Yes.
But
so Scannell was the one that went around.
Yes, sure. Scannell was the one who went around, yes.
And they didn't throw the caution.
No.
He was sitting on the track. And he still came back and finished 14th.
Well, he still finished. That's a good thing.
Still
yes.
fast. And he is somebody who I don't know what it's going to take. We talk about Andrew Ranger, bad luck recently. Matthew Scannell is the other one. He has gotten dumped by so many other people. He routinely has one of the fastest cars on these road courses. And if I'm a company like eBay Motors that came on board for his ride in Nitro 54, I'm signing him up to do every road course, because the performance that he gives when he did not take tires the entire race. Now, Malcolm Strawn didn't take tires and they fell back, but Matthew Scannell was still holding on. Now, it could have been because the tires were wearing out. We saw Gary Kloot start to fall off when his tires kind of wore. But would you say to a Larry Jackson car being on the podium again? I mean, there's not a person who wouldn't want that.
Like it would kind of be in the similar storyline to I guess with Josh Collins Racing. We saw them come through at Sunset. There's that, and then the again the Jim Bray stuff that went on back at Sunset. Like it's both of those teams. What went on last week?
And it's the same as this. Like even this week, Malcolm Strawn, 12th place.
That's still great. Yes.
Like he hadn't raced there since 2021. Jocelyn Fecto hasn't raced since 2021. 15th place. I'm going to give a call out to Wallace.
Yes.
Second straight race, completely. He did get in the leader's way at least once.
That was awkward.
That was a bad deal. But I will give him all the credit because he was motoring. He finished one lap down, not multiple laps down. He compared to what we saw last year, I think he's getting a lot more comfortable. And he actually was racing with people for a good chunk of the race. You have to remember, Wallace is not 30 years old.
No,
he's a lot older than everybody else in the field. And he was, man, I was so happy to see that for him. Clean car, two races in a row. But there was a big wreck.
Oh yeah, big.
And I didn't get to see it because it was on the other side of the track. So, but we saw the car when it came back. Simon Charbonneau, man, I was pretty sad to see that. Not just because it was a DJK car, but it was demolished.
Front end gone, just gone.
And he is a Nissan Sentra Cup driver, and they race at CTMP all the time. So I don't know if there was, again, contact or if there was a mechanical issue, but it's been a while, I think, since we've seen a car that wadded up at CTMP. Like that's
and the thing is too, whenever he went to the barriers as well, you could see all the rain just flowing down the track. And the thing is too, when he got, I think even the commentators mentioned it, I think, but he got out of the car, he looked down the track and saw the water, and he was just like, "Is that what took me out?" Like he had that look. I believe he had that look. Someone said it. And he was just going around with the crew and looking at them, and he's just like, "Did that take me out?" But no,
I mean,
no, it was him.
it sucked too, because I really wanted to see what he could do, and he really didn't get enough time. Same with Thomas
Yeah.
Nouveau. Thomas Nouveau mechanical issue.
Oh my god.
I don't know. Again, I don't know. I couldn't tell because we were at the track, but I don't think he wrecked. It was just a failure, correct?
Like,
It was like a parts failure.
I thought I heard a rear suspension issue. I know the commentators mentioned like there was smoke coming at the back of him or something.
Shifted over, and
Yeah.
he's a guy that I really wanted to see.
That was his first true attempt.
Yeah,
Like,
and he's from road racing, right? From the road to Indy, so he won't get an attempt until I think Toronto will be his first attempt for a road course race, and I mean he's got but at least he knows that track. He's raced there before. I still think that for 18 years old, that kid's gonna have a lot of talent. He's got a big future in the series. But I look at this and I go, okay, who are some of the stories? Well, obviously, go ahead.
Yeah, one car I want to talk about is, did you see what happened with the 53 at the pit entrance?
I did see it because it was right in front of us. Herbie Drescher, first career NASCAR Pinty Series start.
Yeah.
Do we want to say what happened?
I guess we have to. I guess for the fans, especially for my channel too there. But yeah, he enters pit road, quote unquote.
Yep.
But he goes, there's two entrances, but he goes to the right. That's the garage.
Oops.
And then he has to back it up and go left. Oh, that was awkward.
Yeah, I felt pretty bad for
every driver that's been like a beginner to the Pinty series this year has had no luck. None. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I think, one of the things that is surprising, actually, because even like a guy like Daniel Bois, where they're starting off in a new kind of season for MBS, and they're still a really, really new team. They got one lap of the shakedown before they broke. And when we watched him, and he was back in probably 21st, 22nd, because that you could hear the car was flat or something. And he fought, and that team fought and fought and fought and fought. They went under the hood like 3 times during the race and finished 11th. Like, I think the story really has been in these first 2 races is people having really bad luck and fighting. Kevin Lacroix had a pit penalty, had to come from the very back, finished in 4th. It's not normal that we have so much of this, like back and forth. And Brandon Watson, is he going to have any good luck this year? Because that's 2 weeks in a row now that he's had back. Especially for like, that's the thing. Both of my top 3 championship picks. Yeah,
no luck. And I'll point out another driver too. When I do this, who's the first guy you think of? And you got to think of last year.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say, because there's a lot of names I could think of. Is it Glenn?
No.
Well, it's not Andrew, because we already talked about Andrew.
That doesn't help.
It doesn't count? Is it Andrew Ranger again?
No.
I don't know. Just let me know.
Gary Clute.
Well,
the man was on a podium. I was thinking of Andrew Ranger originally as my winner pick. Yeah. And then when I find out Gary Clute's racing, I'm like, nope, I'm swapping to Clute, because that guy is going to be
so close to.
That guy was on a mission. And even before we got to like the shakedown and such, and before we saw how fast he was during the race, like I knew he was going to be on a mission, because last year, like, he had to get that adversity resurgence, whatever term you may use.
Yeah.
But he just can't clutch it.
No, and it's almost, again, he's another one. He's been so close. And he won't be back until Toronto. But they had 3 Klutes racing. and unfortunately, they were all running decent, and then something happened to Peter, and they pulled off, and his race ended really early. Ryan was up in like 12th place, was running great. He faded to about 17th.
Yeah.
And then Gary, I don't think he pitted for tires though, and I think that may have been the downfall. Is the strategy call, while brilliant, they were probably banking on another caution, and they just didn't get it.
Yeah.
And again, I loved what I saw. There was battles all throughout the field.
I just remembered something too. I don't know if you saw this comment. I made a comment in the Pinty series community. I made a post, and someone replied to me with Brendan Watson. He apparently had a rock the size of a golf ball go right through the grill and the rad.
I did see that comment, and that I didn't apparently know, like, again, we didn't know what happened because he was coming out of turn 9.
Yeah.
And we could just see some smoke, but only for a period of time. Then he came by a second time, and there was more smoke.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he pulled into the pits and was done. And again, we're talking about championship favorites here. I don't think you can have a mulligan. I really don't, because we saw last year, like, Cameron had 1 or 2, but if you don't have those mulligans and everybody else has them too, like DJ had mulligans last year, Tag did, so did Treyton Lapcevich, obviously, LP Dumlin, Kevin Lacroix, they all had them. But I don't know if you can get away with that this year. I almost feel like if you make it through all 10 races without an issue, you're in great standing for the championship. I think that there's a lot of positives here. Two of the races to start this season have been unbelievable finishes, have been amazing in terms of cars going back to the front, to the back. Really not a ton of stuff that I've heard that's been ridiculous. There's been some.
Oh, there's still plenty of time for that.
there's been some post-race stuff that hasn't really been, made mention of as it should be. It's not something that we need to hear about.
Yeah.
But the storylines, again, outweigh everything else.
And it's been a case too of, like, I'll think a certain race may not have too much to talk about, but then it's always too much. It's all exactly. People always underestimate every time. Yeah. And it's definitely a good thing.
Well, and I almost wonder, I mean, like, CTMP last year in the spring race was not very good. It was tough to watch. And that was probably because a lot of the weather resulted in a very stretched out field very early in the race. Yeah. Obviously the finish was what it was, but
we don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that. I don't know how the crowd was conveyed on the broadcast, but from my experience, that was the busiest crowd, the most packed I have ever seen a NASCAR Pinty series.
That's what I want. That's something I want to hear from you too. Just the experiences that you've had at both Sunset, now at Canadian Tire, like the amount of positivity that you and Graydon have been showing online and in the Pinty series community group has been fantastic. And you even told me, like, you and Graydon were, like, jumping up and down at that finish. So, like, I want you right now to talk about the experiences you've gone through so far.
Yeah. Well,
I want you to talk about them.
Oh, well, thank you. Honestly, both of them have been amazing. The fan experience and the fan attendance is really what's been surprising for me, because it's been no secret that the NASCAR Pinty series hasn't seen the success of fan viewership at the racetrack, and as much as they would like, I think.
Yeah.
But it's gaining a lot of steam, and that is what we want to hear. That's what we're doing by having this show, by having shows that cover it, by having a community group where we can talk about this type of stuff. We're not trying to spread a lot of negativity about the series. And the reason is because it's not helping in the end. We can have our concerns, and we can talk about our concerns, but there's a way that
Yes.
we're going to do that. And I mean, I've gotten caught up in it before when you're being overly negative, you're not being helpful. All you're doing is complaining. Well, from what I have seen, especially this past weekend, that is what we should aim for every week. The amount of people that were there, the amount of people for autographs, that's 2 weeks in a row now where someone within the series, a team member, media member, or somebody with one of the competitors has said, I cannot believe how many people are here, or this is the busiest I've ever seen it. That is huge. Now, what I really love about CTMP is it's the most multicultural event that we go to. Toronto, kind of, it's different at Toronto, but for the Pinty series specifically, the amount of different types of people at the racetrack, men, women, of all nationalities, it's not something that I think you could see at maybe a Cup Series race. They have a hard enough time with some people going to the racetrack. That was amazing. People of all sorts. That's what I want to see. Because that's what it is. That's the one thing I want the misconceptions to stop about racing is only for this group of people. That's false. It's for everybody, because guess what? There's all different type of people in the world, and they all have businesses. And guess what? Some of those businesses could be really good partners for a series like this. Because if you get new partners into a racing series that are like D'Souza, for example, D'Souza was really excited about being on Treyton Lapcevich's car, and they were actually on social media talking about it. That's a great thing. Seeing companies like coming on to Gary Klut's car for the September race, talking about how excited they are to be on a car. That's great, because that can bring in more other people to be like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, let's do this.
And it kind of feels like, too, knowing that 2024 might be our year where we're really building towards that. What I'm hearing, what you're saying now, and what you've experienced, and how promising everything's looking with the fandom and all that, like, this really does feel like it's just, it's part of that buildup, part of that preparation, because 2024 is meant to be the year where we really step things up. Then we're really getting a good start going to eventually get to that.
Yeah.
So
there's a couple of things that we still obviously need to work on.
Yes.
Timing and scoring went down a couple of times. The broadcast I heard had some issues again.
Yep.
One of the challenges that a lot of the tracks are having now is these, because they're messing with the signals. A lot of people are using data at the racetracks. A lot of people have their phones on them. So it's just something that they need to continue to learn, continue to work on. One of the things I have to commend is track tune. If that can be implemented at all racetracks, that is a game changer for people that can't get the video of the NASCAR race or video of any sort of race at the track. I was actually listening to it before we were coming on, because Sunset Speedway is racing today and they have track tune. So if you can't make it to the racetrack, you can actually listen to the track announcer on your phone or on your computer. Brilliant idea. Oyster Bed, look it up. But seriously, I think the amount of positivities that I could have thought of to start the season really wasn't where I am right now. We got our first look at the merchandise that was for sale. And Fast Eddie Racewear, if you guys don't know, this is Ed Hackinson, Jamie Hackinson, Jason Hathaway, Team 3 Red. That's their business, Choco Motorsports. They have been involved in the racing game forever. They've been involved in the clothing game forever. And it seemed like a natural combination that just needed to work. They're the official, I believe, the official company of the NASCAR Pinty Series for apparel. And one thing I think we can be very excited about is they've got hats, they've got shirts to start, and the prices weren't outrageous. That's the one thing that I really looked forward to, because if I go to a Maple Leafs game, if I go to a Raptors game, if you go into a sports event, most of the time those hats you're looking at are like $40. 29 24. I think it was like $25 for a hat. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Now it is just the logo of the Pinty series, but that's what we want. We want people wearing that type of stuff because we haven't had it before.
Anything helps, even if it's the most basic thing. Like the Pinty's logo alone.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a great start, and second of all, for now, it's still enough. It gets the word out. It puts us out there. It is everyone out there.
We have never had. Like we had a couple bits of merch a couple years ago, but for the new logo, in terms of like the new series logo, this is a great start. I love it. They have they have a woman's hoodie, a pink hoodie. Now, actually, I'm not gonna say woman's hoodie because pink can be used for anybody. Anybody can use pink, but
I'd wear a pink one, man.
Anybody would wear pink. They have youth, which is perfect for the kids. They have one that has cars on it, not actual Pinty's cars, but just renderings of Pinty's cars. People may have been, I know people were asking as to why they don't have those ones. I believe that's got to do with licensing. If it's a NASCAR licensed product, I don't believe you can just have a team like, I'm actually perfect example. Ryan Dyson, for example, he's got Douglas windows and doors. It's not like they could just put that on their shirt because then it looks like they're affiliated with that company.
Yeah.
Just, there's a lot more that goes to it. I don't think there's anybody better that could have done this for the team. Obviously, there's lots of great racewear competitors within Ontario. For example, you got Epic Racewear, which is one of the biggest ones. Any RPM Racewear. Lots of them.
Fanatics Online is still selling the merch of the old Pinty's logo.
Yeah,
still selling it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what people were really crying for, though. They were really wanting something that was fresh and new. And I'm gonna
super late model series. That's our motto. We're doing that.
And
quick shout out.
I'm gonna call out Tony Spiteri. He said on our show last year that one of the biggest things that he wanted to get done was merch. And we're not 3 races into the season and they've got merch.
Yeah.
It's coming, change is coming. You got to give it time, though. That's the thing that as fans, it is sometimes the hard thing. Oh, why can't they just do this? It doesn't. That's not how it works. You
like
can't
we're going
big change. It doesn't.
We're going. Yeah, we're going step by step. We're trying to get more fans in. We're trying to get more partnerships in. We're getting merch out finally.
Yes,
and we're trying to get more drivers interested too as well. Like we're going step by step because, again, if we're going for 2024 to be our like big year or whatever, especially like with Tony Spiteri and stuff. Like this year, we're going step by step. We're kind of building blocks as we go, and then by the time we get to next year and then years after that, we're golden. We're right back in a golden state that we want to be in.
And just look, this is the key thing I think that we need to remember here is we've seen some change here with new teams coming into the series. Josh Collins with 2 cars, that's a new team. Yes, the car is acquired from someone else, but is a new team. Not only that, you add in Michael Gaudi's team making a couple of races, Herbie Drescher's team making a couple of races, more than what they have done in the past. Not only that, then you've got to add Jocelyn Fecto and his team coming back. MBS Motorsports increasing the amount of races that they're going to do. Like this is what needs to happen. Is you need to actually spread it out. We need a lot more Western and Atlantic and Ontario involvement, I think, to catch up with the Quebec landscape, because we know that the Quebec faithful have a good representation in the series. But at the end of the day, the cars need to be there. There needs to be cars made. And we're not at that point right now. My understanding is that there's a reason why we haven't seen some other names come into the series, because there's no cars available.
Yeah.
They're taken. So it's a good problem to have. You've got 2 car builders in McCall and Whitey who are fighting neck and neck to get cars onto the track. And, it is entertaining to see that, because you've got people that are invested in trying to build it. You've got these guys building merch. You've got names like Treyton Lapcevich, Kyle Steckley, but then you've also got some of those veteran names that are going to come in and kind of take over once some of these other names move on. And that's the reality that we have to understand here. DJ Kennington is not going to race forever. I mean, I'd love him to, but it is not going to be forever. Marc-Antoine Cameron is not going to race forever. LP Dumoulin, not forever. You have to look at some of these names, like coming in. Wallace Stacey, Glenn Sires are a lot older than other racers that we would get typically in the series. Are they ever going to move into a position where they put somebody in their car?
Yeah.
Always a possibility. At the end of the day, one of the most important things is that when a team closes, that there's somebody that can come in and take over. We have to have a system that works where anybody from across Canada could acquire a car and run a series.
Yeah.
That's the hope. That Chantal Kalika or Jamie Krizik, guys from out west, could find funding and be able to run a full season. It is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
Not at all. And we routinely like to say here that if you want to get involved, get involved. Don't ho and hum. We've got people that we know that have helped out on race teams. We've got somebody who just became an official with the series, and it's because you want to get involved. You've become social media manager or the social media guy for Oyster Bed and the Super Late Model Series.
Yeah.
We've done the podcast, and I work with the Ontario Sportsman Series. We do the coverage of the NASCAR Pinty Series and the Power Hour. Getting involved in motorsports doesn't have to be a big expense. You do it because you love it. And the people that are in it will be very appreciative to have support. As we continue, we're going to go to Chaudier in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Now, Chaudier is by far one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah.
I love every race that I've seen, that I've watched. Now, there is the best memory that I have of Chaudier, which was talked about actually on the group, was with Alex Labbe and Treyton Lapcevich side by side for, I don't know how many.
Oh, yeah. Like 20 laps or something.
20 laps. Literally one of the best, most exciting, and they were battling for the lead, mind you. One of the most exciting things I've ever watched in a NASCAR Pinty Series event. And I really, really, really want to see a race like that again. I put it out there because Alex Labbe was in the paddock at CTMP. That
yes,
I really do want to see Alex come back and run this year. I did ask him. I said, "Are we going to see you back?" And he was like, and I'm like, "Come on, like, just say yes." I'd rather see another thing. I'd rather see Alex Labbe running in the top 5 here than in 25th, 28th in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, I kind of get that. Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? I'd rather see Raphael Lessard in the series than the ACT series. No offense to ACT, but I'm jealous and I want Raphael Lessard in the series again. But we head to Chaudier. The standings have not been made official yet. That we are still waiting for those because they've got to be tabulated. I am looking to see if they've been updated. They are not yet. So I do want to say that NASCAR.ca is getting better each week. They are improving. They've added some video. They've added the updated standings. Not right now, but they have the standings on the homepage, that's what I want to see. They've got the photos already up there. They're really up to date with with the updates. The one thing that we want to try and make sure that gets fixed, and I know they're definitely working on it, is the timing and scoring. That takes people out of it. It took us a while to figure out who the hell was in the lead, because we're at the track and they didn't know who was in the lead. They didn't know the rundown either. So that kind of makes it a little difficult to be fully into it, but it was all resolved by the end. And I can't thank the team enough at NASCAR, the team for the Pinty series, all the competitors that they continuously are putting on such amazing motorsports. And I really hope that we get a Michael Jordan-esque team to come in one year. I'd be okay if Ryan Reynolds forgot about the Ottawa Senators and made a NASCAR Pinty Series team. I'm just saying, Ryan Reynolds is a fan of racing. So, I mean, aviation aviation gin on a race car. Come on, let's make it a reality. But Regan, final thoughts before we wrap it up here on the first two events of the season and what you think, who you think is coming out of Chaudier with the win. I'm going to tell you right now who's winning, and it's Marc-Antoine Camirand.
Okay.
I have no doubt that he's going to be up front. He was so good last year, and I think he only lost it because of lap traffic. So I'm going with Marc-Antoine Camirand. GM Paillet is winning again at Chaudier.
Okay, so I do have to make a winner prediction then.
Of course.
I usually wait. I usually tend
no.
In these cases, I usually wait like all week because I'm just like, then I see,
I don't know
like practice and qualifying. But
we aren't also going to Chaudier for a couple of weeks, so
well, yeah.
But you
know what? Screw it. We'll just I'll say someone and then we'll
okay,
and we'll see what happens. But before I get to that, again, final thoughts. Like, yeah, CTMP definitely. It definitely provided a lot, and I had a lot of fun watching the broadcast despite some of the difficulties and awkward stuff that was going on. But yeah, Treyton goes 2 for 2, and again, both times he makes moves where he doesn't wreck the other car, which that's been awesome. And like, again, for what he's gone through before the season and now where he's at now, like, it's complete difference right there, completely different stories there. And I just really hope that we get to continue having a bunch of storylines and headlines to really discuss, like, all across the field, because again, like, it's the top, the middle, and the back, like everywhere's got something to talk about. So I really do think Chaudier will provide that, because I know last year's race definitely had a lot of intensity with it, a lot of side-by-side racing. We had maybe 4 cars that had a shot at winning.
Yep.
In the case of a winner, you say Camirand with GM Paillet.
To confirm, last year, of course, it was Andrew Ranger that did win. So we'll just put that out there.
In that case, you go on one end of the GM Paillet side. I'm going the other side. I'll go Ranger.
Okay. I think you're wrong, but okay.
No.
If you're going to pick a dark horse pick.
Okay, dark horse, yeah.
Alex
Gannett. Sure, why not?
That's a good one.
Let's just go with it.
That would have been a good pick. I'm going to go separate. I'm actually going to go Donald Teach.
Fair enough.
He showed a lot at Sunset Speedway, and the tag was also really good at Sunset until he got wrecked. No, I'm going to stick with the Don.
Technically, and he's not a dark horse.
Oh, come on. Yes, he is on an oval.
He can contend on ovals.
Recently, though, he's more of a dark horse. Come on.
I get it, but not yet in my books. Not yet.
Not yet.
He's still got that contender pace. It's just the luck the results haven't shown like that luck is not really there. So I wouldn't say it just yet, but I will say Alex Gannett for a dark horse. Donald Teach is very fair.
The Dawn is ready.
The Dawn
is ready. The Teach money is ready. I'm telling you, man, that 80 car, he's definitely got to have some excitement going, because he's very, very fast.
And if Treyton wants to go 3 for 3, let's just make sure he has a good engine in his car this time.
This will be very important to see, because again, we've seen this before where mechanical issues start to creep up around the 3rd or 4th race of the season. That's not what any of these teams need. What we have been very lucky with so far is a real lack of massive amounts of issues. There's been a couple of guys that have had one or two guys that have had some big issues, but really it's kind of been widespread. It really hasn't been a bunch of retirements. Although we did predict that there would be a race. I believe that you had predicted that they'll have only 10 cars finish the race. So we'll see how that happens, because Chaudier could be one of those tracks that happens.
Lap traffic galore.
Well, we saw last year with Renamoto and JP Bergeron that even though they're on a very small short track, they can wreck really bad. So
you can get in the air, you can go on top of a freaking windshield.
Exactly. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I know TJ was pretty shook up about that, and as anybody would be, right? But I think that there's going to be a lot of storylines once again when we head there. Now, the field right now, I'm not sure where we're looking. I think we're looking maybe 18, maybe max 20, which again, for this series, I don't think we need more than that, because if we get into a demo derby, that's not really what we need. So although when we go back to Sunset, if you look at a lot of those cars at the end of the night, they were pretty demolished. So it will be the return of your boys from out at Canada. Josh Collins Racing will be there for show DA. So I think that they're going to be pretty good too. I think they're probably pretty excited.
I would like to see Collins rebound and McFarland again. Maybe have a little bit of a better start to the weekend versus last time, because again, that was kind of from right down at the bottom all the way to the top.
Yeah,
and then so try to have a little bit more consistency there, and then the same with Josh Collins. Maybe try to have the two of them maybe a little bit closer to each other, just to kind of again have that consistency and just get the job done. You know?
I love the idea. I love seeing all the parity. I love seeing people from different parts of the country coming together to race. So we really just, if we can get those guys from Western Canada out here, that would be what we need. I think if we can get some of that, that'd be really good. But the amount of stories is fantastic. Of course, we are still waiting just to find out what the actual point standings are right now. I'm pretty sure we don't have to worry. Treyton Lapcevich and Marc-Antoine Camerand are likely to be up there. But, Regan, how can everybody follow you on social media?
Once again, Regs are on YouTube and TikTok and Twitter. You can find me at Regan McCauley on Facebook. I always am hanging around the NASCAR Pinty Series community. I will give shout outs to Oysterbed Speedway and the Super Late Model Series. Go and find their social media pages, of course, trying to shed in, be a good Atlantic correspondent for the Stickers and Scuffs podcast as per usual. So once again, Cam, thank you for bringing me onto the Power Hour, and I can't wait for what comes next, again, as per usual.
Yes, Chaudier is going to be coming to us June 10th. It's going to be at 5:30. So 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. I do like the earlier start time. I do like that rather than it being like 8, 9 o'clock at night. However, we also still, you got to remember that once it's June 10th, they go then to Eastbound Park, and that's bound to be one hell of a show.
God, I wish I could go, man. I wish.
I believe at last count, I believe Joel Robinson has said that there's potentially five Atlantic drivers that are going to be in that race. So as of right now, we know Wayne Hamlin Jr. is going to be in there. We know Brandon McFarland and Josh Collins. I think, keyword is think, Sarah Thorne would be back.
Okay.
That still leaves one. And I don't know who. Now, I've had rumors. There's been rumors about maybe other teams potentially trying to come out and race that maybe wouldn't be a part of that race normally. I don't know. I'd love to see, though. I know we talked about it before. I think you had mentioned it, Cole Butcher. I want to see Cole Butcher.
That name came to my mind, yeah.
Yes, I want to see him in this race. But we're going to wrap it up. For this week.
We tried to end it earlier, but
I know
more talk about
we tend to do this quite a bit because the conversation is good, man. Lots of stuff to talk about. I just want to thank JRD Motorsports for the beautiful race shirt. Ready to see the 28 of Ryan Dyson at Delaware in DJK Racing this year for the Pinty Series. Actually, Ryan was crewing on the 88 at CTMP with his brother Jamie. So you got something to shout out as well?
And of course, NASCAR Pinty's merch will eventually be coming online. As soon as that comes out online, I will be just straightforward, like take all my money, take my wallet. So
absolutely,
just be aware of that.
Regan McCauley, thank you so much, buddy. Well, guys, lots of great conversation with great people today. Regan McCauley, Graydon Bunn, Treyton Lapcevich. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in tonight. It was an honor to have Treyton on 2 weeks in a row. We're going to try and get the winners for each NASCAR Pinty Series race on to speak with us just a little bit the day after a race victory, but it is Victoria Day here in Canada, so I know there'll be there's still some fireworks going on outside right now, but we're going to continue and try and build the series all season long, and I just want to thank each and every person that has come up and said hello and thanked me. It's an honor to be able to be here on G-Force TV with the Power Hour, and we're going to keep growing this thing, and I really hope if you haven't already gone out and get yourself a thumbs up for us, because we'd appreciate it. It just helps the channel be seen, and if you haven't already, share and subscribe. I'm going to do a quick shout out for Ryan Reed. If you haven't already, join the NASCAR Pinty Series community page. Check out Reed and Sin Media, or actually just check him out here on the YouTube network. Reed and Sin Media doing work for Josh Collins Racing, and they put one hell of a program together. When I tell you video, I am so amazed at what some of the young people in our community are doing for the series, like Regan, like Reed and Sin Media, Jack Shanlin taking photographs, the boys at Wide World of Motorsports covering it, us at the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. You know, we, from where we started just 2 years ago, being involved in the series, I think there's been a massive growth in just that small little bit of time, and we're going to continue to do this, and seeing new partners come into the series like Fresh Stone Brands, eBay Motors, and see how much they get involved, and just seeing how big the crowd was this past weekend was a real big thing, and I'm really ecstatic to see where the rest of the year goes. There's people in the chat in our NASCAR Pinty Series community page that are asking if the merch trailer is going to come to their track because they're so excited to buy their NASCAR Pinty Series gear. And the fan base, you guys deserve this, and we're going to continue. It's not the only series that we're going to continue to try and build. We want the APC series built up. We want our weekly racing built up. It is imperative that we do this if we want racing to succeed and to thrive within Canada. It takes a lot of effort, and I am just so blessed that Clinton, Adam, Spencer, and the team at GeForce TV have allowed me the opportunity to do this, that Doug and the entire NASCAR team allow us to cover the series. It is a true honor. We're not going to be out there right for the rest of the season, pretty much. I'll be at Toronto for the race out there, and but then we won't be able to be probably at any other event until maybe CTMP in September, and Delaware for the finale. We are chock full of racing this year, but we're trying to focus on some attending some other smaller divisions and trying to get some attention to them. They deserve it. And without the smaller divisions, we have no future for the Pinty Series. So we need those small young racers to be built up and to be seen. And we're just really excited to be part of the GeForce family, and we're excited that you stuck around and wanted to listen to us gab. So have yourselves a great night, and have a great week. We will catch you all next week for episode 47, the LP Dumoulin episode of the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour here on GeForce TV. Make sure you subscribe, and make sure you give us a big old thumbs up.